There's a dog barking. We got new neighbors and they have a puppy, but he's kind of well trained, so we don't mind it. I like it when our neighbors have puppies, just because I get to see them. I don't get to pet them because I'm never outside at the same time that they are because I don't get a lot of sun, but I just like looking at them. There's lots of Yorkies that live in my neighborhood. Anyway, Child of Mist, colon, Red Dawn. I love titles that have a colon, by Lola Saintville is what it looks like I wrote. I hope that's correct. Is the first in the Child of Mist series, and it's fantasy. I think it's fantasy because Faye. Sometimes Google and Goodreads aren't always good about giving you the genre. Um, Eden, question mark, is a Valkyrie with a baby, which apparently is unusual. She dies and Eden brings her back and sends her away. I have no idea what that means. Oh, the baby is a girl. The baby dies, and Eden brings her back and sends her away because she's a Fae hunter, so it's dangerous to be with her, I guess. The Fae in the Underworld Rebel and Eden and the warrior, whose name is Darius, have to clean this up. Rain, the baby, she's bored with life and also black, apparently. The reason I say apparently is just because, like, I'm not saying that you have to make it a plot point, but I think this book takes place in America, so it would definitely be a plot point. Um, yeah. Uh, she just leaves school at some point, like, just in the middle of the school day. I don't think you can just leave school in the middle of the school day and not come back without consequences, but it's never brought up again, so who cares? That's the thing with these fantasy books. When they start teenagers and teenagers just leave school and don't go back without any fucking consequences, and like all this time has passed, and the school's just like, oh, she's back, it's fine. Like, at least in Narnia, like when tons of time has passed when they're in Narnia, when they get back to the real world, like only 45 minutes has passed. At least in the first one. In the second one, I don't even think like a whole hour had gone by because the train was there still. Um, yeah. The student she has a crush on, his name is Xander. He follows her. Also just leaving school in the middle of the school day. I don't even think Buffy did that. And Buffy hunted like vampires and monsters and shit. Teenager things. A Fae shows up for some reason wanting Rain. She levitates Xander away from the problem and someone recorded it. She tells her two friends. Two gush, one is meh, two say nothing. Xander is Fae and so is Deja, to protect Ray or whatever. But they were kids when they became friends, and they're friends because they want to be. There's a dark Fae named Gray, because, you know, instead of calling him Unseelie like everybody else does, just call him Dark Fae, it's fine. I will also say that the reason I cite that as a criticism is because until, like, that shit with the Fate started happening in the Whims of Fae series, pretty sure the Unseelie were not well liked, but anyway. Luna, one of her friends, she gets to stay with them even though she's human because she knows a ton about the Fae, because I guess she's just been reading about them or whatever. Okay, so you know that trope of the old witch lady who just like lives in a hut and knows everything about everything? I called her the town Mutta. She tells Ray that there's darkness after her. Cool. Her mom shows up offering to take her away, and Ray refuses because these are her friends or whatever, but Eden leaves her with bodyguards named Case and Letty. I don't like them, and Ray doesn't like being called Rain, apparently. She's attracted to Case, but he's an incubus, so for those of you who don't know, incubus is not just a band. Incubus is the male version of a succubus. They use extreme emotion, Reed throwing Luna off a cliff to get Ray to activate her powers. I've decided that teens in books and too are understanding. This is the most emotional group of people that you could ever run into in your entire life, and they're all just acting like this is okay. Luna's just okay with having been thrown off a cliff. Okay. If you threw one of my friends off of a cliff in order to get my powers to activate, I'd be pretty pissed off. Understandably so, I feel. Xander and Deja don't like Case and Letty. Letty is insufferable and Case is obnoxious. Ray saves Case and Xander looks at her like she did something wrong. because Xander thinks that she loves Case, because obviously if you save someone's life, that means you're in love with them. Like, like every toxic male in the whole world would think. Every toxic person in the whole world would think. Because those of us with vaginas are not exempt from that as well. So Xander doesn't want to be around them anymore. Okay. Town Mutta tells Ray that about 5 stones she needs to unite to close the portal or whatever. Darius is her dad, by the way, like the warden at the underworld prison with all the Fae in it. Dad. The Fae want her because she's the next warden, read Queen of the Underworld. None of the attacks have been attempts on her life. Xander got hurt, so now he's with them again. Case and Ray apparently have feelings for each other. So here's the thing. I used the book Sweep and Whims of Fae for comparison. These teens are way too understanding. Like Bree disliking Morgan because she thinks that Morgan stole her boyfriend. Stupid. Totally reasonable. I could see a teenager absolutely doing that because they do it all the time. It's not just like a TV thing. They do it all the time. One time when I was in high school, when I was with my ex-boyfriend, because my ex-boyfriend was friends with a girl and, oh my god, shock and horror, gave her a hug, one of the girls on the soccer team came to me and was like, hey, I think your boyfriend might be cheating on you. He's allowed to have female friends. Like, I'm not going to dump somebody just because they look at another girl. Like, you're not blind, you're just in a relationship. Like, no. When you're a teenager, boyfriends and girlfriends mean a lot. And Morgan not forgiving Cal for trying to burn her to death? Also understandable. Like, because the reason I mentioned that one is because if Ray hadn't forgiven Case for throwing Luna off of a cliff, totally understandable. You throw my best friend off a cliff, I'm gonna fucking stab you in the throat. Anyway, yeah. So, Xander assumed that Ray using her powers to save Case meant that she loved him. Like, he's right that she does love him, but her using her powers to save him saved him and Luna, and also Case is a sex demon. She can't help her attraction to him. It's literally in his species description. Like, Wraith is suspicious of Calum when he's around Scarlet, because Calum's powers, I cannot pronounce the word of what he is, but Calum's powers mean that just about everything that moves around is attracted to him. Like, does Scarlet end up falling in love with him? Yes, but it takes a couple of books before they'll admit it. And also, Calum was drunk when he admitted it. Like, did Calum kidnap Scarlet's sister? Yes, but at least he apologized, and then once we found out his reasoning for doing it, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I get you. He had a stronger reason for doing it than Case. Calum didn't kidnap Ashley to activate Scarlet's powers. He kidnapped Ashley so that Scarlet would help him get his sister back. And once Scarlet realized that, she was less angry. And also Ashley was being kind of a dick in that first book where she, like, became sort of a major character. Like, don't fight for someone who clearly doesn't want you. But at the same time, if you can't say for certain that they don't want you, and they do something nice for someone else, that does not mean that they want that other person. Like, I have female friends. Most of my friends identify as female. One of them had a whole conversation with my boyfriend that I was not aware of. I don't care. Also, he helped her with something that was kind of important to her. I don't care. Like, that particular friend he would never have sex with anyway, but, like, I don't care. I don't understand why for some people cheating encompasses just talking to a person of the opposite sex. Like, or, like, if in the case of, like, if you're not in a heterosexual presenting relationship, just, oh no, did I lose a butterfly? Oh no. I am confused. Oh, I didn't lose a butterfly. Okay, I thought I lost the butterfly. One of the butterflies just got turned around. I'm gonna do this part really quick because I did not like this book. It's called The Darkest Part of the Forest. Apparently Holly Black just isn't my type of zhuzh. It's supposed to be love and fantasy, and there's a glass coffin with a boy in it who has horns and painted ears, and Hazel's parents, she's the main character, say that he's been there forever and he never wakes up. So some teenagers are partying near the coffin, and creatures are well known here, like there's creatures in the forest or whatever. Carter was replaced with a changeling, and his mom, his human mom, walked over to the lady who replaced him and was like, "Give me the child, but now I'm going to keep both of them because if you decide to give up your changeling son, you don't deserve him." So they were raised as brothers. Hazel just kisses boys, not for sex, but just cuz. That seems weird to me. Tourists disappear in their town, probably because they don't know the rules, because tourists are the fucking worst in every single city that is a tourist attraction. The folk, that's what they're called, they don't bother the residents. The town's pretty boring for the residents. And then one day the coffin turns up empty because Hazel touched it, so now he's alive, I guess. My fantasy needs to have connections to the inciting incident within like the first 30 pages. Like, again, sometimes I feel like I'm being unfair. The root starts within like 10 pages, and that's sci-fi, not sci-fi, that's urban fantasy. He rips the arm of a monster off in like chapter 2. I think he also sent 2 boys to the hospital in chapter 1. Like, this book actually made me want to reread Percy Jackson. I promise I'll get around to rereading Percy Jackson. My friend really wants me to give it another try, so I will. I don't know what happened. I really liked Tiv. Tiv was great. And Valiant was quite boring, and the last one, I couldn't even read Ironside, mostly because I think I didn't know what was happening. But Percy got attacked by a harpy in, like, chapter 2. Like, come on, man. It's not that hard.